All right, this is going to be another faceless video. It's going to be a real quick review for Louis L'Amour's Lonesome Gods. Um, I haven't read a whole lot of Louis L'Amour. Okay, I'll admit I've probably only read like maybe 6 Louis L'Amour novels, and this is the biggest one by far. So let's see. I'll just try to go through the list. I read Flint, one of the Hopalong Cassidy novels that Louis L'Amour wrote. Hondo. Last Stand at Papago Wells, this, and I think I read like one more. I can't remember. Anyways, this is somewhere in the middle of the pack. Um, it's good. I wouldn't call it great. I enjoyed reading it. The first 100 pages, like maybe the first 150 pages of this book, I I really enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be like a 5-star novel for me. And if the entire novel would have remained like the setup where you have this boy named Johannes Verne. He's headed out west to California with his father. Okay. And I'm not sure the exact time frame of when this book takes place. That's one of the criticisms I have. Is I don't know what year. Like the boy is like 6, 7 years old when the story starts. By the end of the novel, he's a young man. So this is kind of like the hero's journey kind of thing in the old west. I don't know, but yeah, the title of the novel comes from this motif that runs throughout about the lonesome gods. So this is Johannes's father talking to him. He says, "Long ago, before the Indians who live here now, there were other people. Perhaps they went away, or maybe they died or were driven out by these Indians' ancestors, but they are gone. Yet sometimes I am not sure they are gone. I think sometimes their spirits are still around and the land they loved. Each people has its gods or its the spirits in which they believe. It may be their God is the same as ours, only clothed in different stories, different ideas, but a God can only be strong." So that's a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? A perennialist view of God that I don't subscribe to. I don't believe that we're all touching the same elephant, but we're seeing different aspects. That's kind of like what, Joseph Campbell stuff, like his thinking. I don't believe that. But this is the perennialism is like what Hannes's father subscribes to. So he says, Hannes, if he is worshipped and the gods of those ancient people, um, they are lonesome gods now. Essentially, because there's nobody. The people that worship these gods are all gone. So the gods are, they're lonesome gods because there's nobody to worship them. So essentially, the Star Trek episode "Who Mourns for Adonis," right? The one with Apollo. Same theme as this novel. Overall, it was an enjoyable read. The middle of the book just turned into a massive slog for me. Um, the pacing just kind of dropped and then it picked up again at the end, so like this is like a 450 page novel, and the beginning 150 pages and like maybe the last 100 pages are kind of like a typical Louis L'Amour novel, but that whole middle section kind of meanders, and it gets into some philosophy, and I just think that Louis L'Amour gets a little bit too preachy. There was a storyline with a lady here, and her name is completely slipping my mind at the moment. I think it was let me see her name. Miss Nezelrode. I think that's how you say that. Miss Nezelrode is probably the most interesting character in the novel, and she's. If you're gonna read this, I'm not gonna give a spoiler, but there is kind of like a plot twist. There's a bunch of revelations about these characters' backgrounds or who they are, but it all comes like very late into the novel, and I think that Louis L'Amour was trying to, like, I don't know, like do a mystery reveal, like what a twist, and there's connections to Russian spies, and there's all kinds of stuff, hidden treasure, all kinds of things take place in this novel. There's a guy that's like a martial arts master that shows up, and hear sea captains. Um, I think this book just kind of bit off more than it could chew and kind of got dragged down by the weight of everything. I would call it an experimental novel. It's listed as historical fiction. So, I don't know. So, this is my personal opinion. Hondo is Louis L'Amour's best novel, in my opinion, at least of everything I've read, and it hasn't even been close. All right? So, there's something about this book in particular, and maybe it's because it was an adaptation of a screenplay, and I just think that the narrative is tighter. I think that the character development is better. So that's like my hot take. If you're gonna read one Louis L'Amour novel, in my opinion, this is the one to read. And hey, it is what it is. I'm just gonna say it. I think this is his best book. I think the writing is the best, and I don't even think that it's close with the other things that I've read by him. Um, I think this is just an all-time great Western. Period. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.